Hi, I'm Ray Lozano.
And I'm Brooke Romero, your daughter.
Yay! And we're Prevention Plus.
Today, we're talking about opioids.
And we're being sponsored by the Orange Elks Lodge, number 1475. And so they're the ones that are allowing us to put this video together, asking us to do that, just to inform you.
Mm-hmm.
And like Brooke said, we're talking about opioids today. So Brooke, you had an experience with opioids, right?
Yeah, I did. Back in 2015, I was in a pretty bad car accident, and I went to the hospital, and I told them that I was having some pain in my lower back.
I remember that.
And then they gave me a prescription for something, and this was way before I was working with Prevention Plus or anything, so I got the prescription. I didn't know what it was. And then come to find out, it was an opioid called hydrocodone.
Oh, okay. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
So my first day being on LOA, or leave of absence from work, I took one of the pills because, it was a prescribed medication from my doctor.
Right.
And as soon as I took it, or a few hours later, I just completely fell asleep.
Wow.
Yeah. I must have slept for something like 30 hours. And I would sleep, and then I would wake up and instantly go back to sleep, and it was awful. I hated the feeling.
Wow.
So I didn't take any more after that day, but it was just crazy how easily they gave me that prescription.
Yeah, how many tablets did they give you?
They gave me something like 30 tablets.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's quite a bit.
Lot.
And did the tablet knock your pain out?
Well, sort of, but only because I was asleep for so long.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was awful.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
So when somebody takes a drug like hydrocodone or fentanyl or any of those opioids, how does it affect their brain?
Good question. It affects the brain differently. So like in your situation, it was a prescription. So the doctor gave it to you, you had pain, and you're going to use it for the pain. You realize you didn't like it, so you stopped using it. So there's people that are going to take it that aren't in pain. So it's going to be a little bit different for them. Now, one thing about our brain is our brain hates pain. It does. And so even if we see pain in somebody else, we have a thing that are called mirror receptors. So you ever been watching a scary movie, or you've been watching some kind of movie and somebody gets punched in the chest or hit in the head, or they do something, and then you feel that pain?
Yeah.
You know how that is?
Yeah, definitely.
And so those are called mirror receptors. And so they see a painful thing, and sometimes your brain goes, I don't know if that's me or if it's somebody else. So you feel the reaction. Or if you see somebody eating and they bite their mouth and they jump, you feel it.
Yeah.
Okay, those are called mirror receptors. So the brain is totally afraid of pain. And it says, I don't want to be involved with pain. I don't like pain. Our body's designed for pleasure. It doesn't know what to do with pain. So when we're in painful situations, the brain tries to move away from that. Let's say, now you've been in this situation, let's say you were speaking to 100 people, okay? And at the end of speaking to 100 people, 99 of those people come up to you and they're like, Brooke, you're fantastic, you did a great job, this is wonderful. They're trying to write a song about you. A couple of the guys are putting you up over their shoulders and they're carrying you around the room and they're like, oh, this is fantastic, you're just the best, except for one person. And that one person's like, oh, it's okay, you weren't as good as I thought. Everything you said I already knew. It wasn't a big deal. You weren't even really that interesting. Okay? Now, as you're walking out to the car, are you thinking about the 99 that carried you around the room, or are you thinking about the one?
The one.
The one. How long are you thinking about the one?
A long time.
Right? All of us have been in that situation. We go into a grocery store, the cashier says something that's kind of weird. We don't shop there anymore, right? And so the thing is, our brain tries to avoid pain. So one of the things that opioids do is they go inside our brain and they eliminate that pain. And so in your situation, you conked out for a long time. Some people will use it and keep functioning, but they just have this euphoric feeling or this feeling of, everything's okay. Even though in reality it's not.
Right.
But here's where the problem happens, especially with street drugs like heroin that fall in that category, is somebody will use it and they'll get this incredible high. And they're like, man, this is the greatest thing since, sliced bread and fresh butter. And they're like, this is fantastic. So all of a sudden, it shoots them up to here. So then, next time when they go to use it, because the high lasts for a while, but it's not a crazy long 3-day type of high, They use it again, but then this time they're here. And it doesn't quite get them as high because the body adapts to those.
Right.
And what it does, it's called homeostasis, where the body is reacting to whatever's happening. So if you're too happy, the body tries to push you back this way.
Right.
If you're too sad, the body tries to push you back this way. And it interacts with these opioids. So when you get high, next time you use it, you're not as high. Next time you use it, you're not as high. Next time you use it, you're not as high. But the brain is always thinking, I want to get back up to the top. And that's where the addiction happens. So that's why people continue to use these drugs over and over again. For one, they don't want to feel the pain, and their brain is trying to get back up to that top level. So the addictive quality is super fast, super quick how it happens. And I'm sure there's been things that you've done that you really like maybe riding a roller coaster, or you ate something you really liked, and your brain's like, man, I want to eat that again, or I want to ride that again, or I want to, try that again. And so that's what happens with opioids. Really highly addictive.
That makes sense. And one of the tough things that can happen with opioids is once somebody's getting that prescription from their doctor, which is usually where it starts out, they'll take that medication, they'll become addicted to it, but then once the medication runs out, or they lose their health insurance, or something like that can happen, well then they're addicted to the substance, but they don't know where to get it because they can't get it from their doctor anymore.
Right.
So one of the ways that they get it is actually from the street. So then they'll turn to drugs like heroin that they can get, on like the black market kind of thing.
Right.
And so then it just increases this huge population of people who are addicted to these street drugs, and it really contributes to the crisis that we're seeing.
Right. And one of the things I read in a book, I was just reading about opioids not too long ago, the ones that you buy on the street are mixed with so many things. And there's so many things in heroin, so it's not like pure heroin.
Right.
And the percentage of heroin in there is super low, and there's all these other chemicals you shouldn't be putting in your body, and those cause a lot of problems that are going in. So opioids are terrible. We're seeing an epidemic in the United States of people using these. So that's one of the things that we enjoy doing, is going around, traveling, talking to students, junior high, high school, adults about opioids, the dangers and the addiction level. If you want more information, we're going to list all that right here. You can find that on the Elks page. You can find that on our page. We have a lot of videos that are out there. And today we're sponsored by the
Orange Elks Lodge number 1475.
Thanks so much for listening.
My name is Madison Norton. I'm 24 years old. I've been sober this time since December 9th of 2018, but I've been in the rooms of recovery since I was 19.
Oh my gosh, that's so young.
My name is Wade Broadus, and I'm 61 years old. I've been in recovery now for about 30 years.
Ah,
Michael
my
Brown.
husband.
I'm 37. I've
30
been
years.
in recovery since January 1st, 2010, but I've been sober now for 6 months.
I like this though,
Espinosa,
because they're
and,
sober
47.
now.
I've been in recovery probably about 4 or 5 years.
Sharon Weber, 62 years old.
Wow, they have such a crazy age range.
In August.
I'm Kelsey
Could
Rose.
be anyone
and I am
at any
Sharon's
time.
daughter. I'm Kelsey Rose, and I am Sharon's daughter. I actually didn't realize that my mom had a problem with drinking until a little bit later. My mom was room parent. She was chaperones on field trips. I mean, talk about like super duper mom.
My name is Matthew Bautista, and I'm 22 years old. Now that I've been sober for 3 years, like, man, I'm getting my life back.
Drugs that it can take your whole life. I seen it too, because my dad, he was on that heroin for a long time, And I was a kid coming home, seeing needles popping out of his arms and stuff.
My drug of choice was meth.
My drug of choice was marijuana, but it soon got replaced by acid and hashish.
I remember getting a prescription for some back pain, and
That's how it all
that was
starts.
probably the first time I used, and I didn't think anything of it, that addiction would come with it. I've always said I will never be a drug addict, and here I am. I'm addicted.
Yo, popping pills, man, that's You don't know you can get addicted to that, but you can get addicted to pills real quick.
Opiates were really my get down. It just is
That
the most
epidemic
unbelievable
is
feeling.
crazy
That
right
feeling of being
now.
okay, like multiply that times a million.
At the beginning, the first hit, man, you feel good, but then after a while, it wears out. And then, man, you start losing
Brainwashes
weight.
you.
Your family starts to recognize it. You're not functioning right. You start thinking different, and the drug starts getting to you. Next thing you know, you haven't slept for days. You got bags on your eyes. You think people are after you, and drug is a lie.
Drug is a lie.
At the beginning, it's fun.
The first time I took a drink, I was 14 years old. My best friend in high
14?
school said, I've got some vodka and let's go up to the golf course where we grew up and let's have a drink and let's get drunk.
See, but that's like so normal, like for teenagers to do.
Kids have parties all the time and there's drinking as young as like middle school.
I took that first drink and I felt amazing. I really liked the way that it made me feel.
The first time I started to use drugs, I was out with some of the friends at the...
It's definitely the people you hang out with.
It's always like peer pressure.
It is.
Rolled up a joint and smoked it in the back of the school. Later on, as I got around 19, cocaine came into my life.
I always heard that marijuana was a gateway drug.
The next thing in line for getting high, and cocaine is very addictive, and it led me down a path where I was giving up all of my life just for that euphoric high.
The first time I used, I was probably 18 or 19 years old. I was at a club in West Hollywood, and I met some people who I thought were cool, and they had ecstasy, and I didn't know what it was. Instantly, I was just in love.
I was gonna say in love.
Struggling. I'm gay, I'm biracial, and I had a lot of sort of self-hate. And so when I took that drug for the first time, it turned all of that off. But that escalated quickly to cocaine and then to meth, and it was when I found
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times people are using drugs to escape from insecurities.
My family didn't know that I had this addiction because you don't smell it, you don't see it. You could pop a pill and nobody would know.
Yep.
I felt kind of alone in this little secret that I had, this little addiction.
The first time I used drugs, I was 12.
12.
I was like madly in love with at the time, invited me to hang out after school, and we walked through the park, and he proceeded to teach me how to smoke weed out of a ballpoint pen. When I started getting into heavier drugs, I was about 15. Same boy taught me how to smoke Oxycontin. When I got high on opiates for the first time, I didn't have like any worries.
I have no worries. I was in love. That's how they're selling it.
Was there a moment I tried to quit? All the time, especially as the negative consequences started. This disease is so powerful, it hijacks your brain.
I remember the first time I got dope sick from opiates. I was using so heavily
A
that
lot of people are
I
ODing
decided
now.
I wanted to try and stop. I tried to detox myself with like alcohol and weed and benzos, but I found I couldn't stop using opiates.
I was tore up from the floor up, and I was living in the streets of Skid Row.
Skid Row.
And some kids with me told me to go into a program. I opened the book of the Bible and started reading it, and I stayed sober.
You gotta believe in something greater than yourself. That's what it is.
Some people need religion.
I'm cutting hair right now, and I'm getting back enrolled into school.
That's great.
If I wouldn't
Not nice.
have took that path, I would have probably even owned my own barbershop right now.
He still can.
Some of the dangerous things that I got involved in was ripping off drugs and guns getting involved and fighting getting
Spirals
involved.
out of control.
Life gets involved.
The most dangerous encounter I faced during my addiction was probably when I was sharing needles on Skid Row. I just started engaging in criminal behavior and do things I'm not proud of. I sucked for heroin once. It didn't make me feel any type of way. I just wanted to get high. I just resigned to die. I didn't care.
Sadly, I drank and drove all the time. I put myself, my daughters,
And put everyone in danger.
in Los Angeles at risk by drinking and driving.
Over the years, I've had 32 friends overdose and die or kill themselves as a result of their addiction.
32? One is too many.
And came very close to ending my own life. I was living in a park in San Diego, homeless, and it was the middle of the night, and I was walking across a bridge, and I found myself standing on the edge of it looking down, I think fully intending to jump.
Oh my gosh. All these people had different points where they realized that they had a problem. They needed to reach out for help. But before that, it was never like, I'm not gonna rely on anyone, and then you're standing on a bridge about to jump off.
Obviously, I didn't jump. Instead, what I did was I texted a friend back in LA, and I think probably for the first time in my entire life, I asked for help.
There's always help. These people were able to get help, but in a lot of cases, that doesn't happen.
The turning point the first time, I wanted help. I was just drinking and doing pills at the time. I was 19, and actually the same boy who introduced me to opiates and who taught me how to smoke weed,
she needs to get away from this guy.
Her reason was always for a boy.
He came to visit me and he had a year off heroin. That was the first time I wanted to get better, was so that I could be in a relationship.
The turning point was when I was sentenced for my 4th DUI.
4?
Wow.
That was her turning point. It had to come to.
It should have been the first one.
I lost everything that was meaningful to me in my life. My marriage, my daughters, my career, my home, and my freedom.
Get around a mentor. Mentor somebody that's willing and open. There's a way out. I'm here to encourage you. There's a way out.
Be honest with yourself. Because for a long time, I told myself, no, I'm not addicted.
I think it's so hard for people to ask for help because they're so embarrassed.
Open up to somebody that you think could help and really get accountability.
Pick up the phone, ask for help.
Absolutely.
You're gonna be amazed what kind of life you can have.
Keep your eyes forward. I think for me, it was really dark for a really long time.
And she had no childhood. She's been doing it since she was 12.
If you're struggling with addiction right now, or somebody that you know is struggling with addiction, I want you to know that there's hope. It's your choice if you want to take the first step.
Because that's hard. You can't really help anyone who doesn't want to help themselves.
I promise you, the entire world will conspire in your favor and meet you where you are, and you only have to do it one day at a time.
Wow. I loved how everyone shared their story, and it was very uplifting, and I feel like I could send that to a family member and be like, hey, watch this.
We do have a family member that's currently in some recovery of sorts, and it's been devastating for our whole family.
Their family members are impacted just as much as someone who's addicted.
My younger brother, now he's turned 40, in fact, in prison. Basically, he was a personal trainer, and he hurt himself. And it started slowly with back pain and terrible pain management. Over time, it became this just ramping up. Normal Advil doesn't work. Then Vicodin does nothing. Then now I'm into oxycodone, and now I'm into all these, hardcore opioids. And so you see this opioid crisis going from doctor-prescribed medications to stuff right off the street.
I just think it's great they've been sober for so long.
That is not easy. Back in the day, I became addicted to Tylenol PM, and it took me 6 months to get off of Tylenol PM. So I could not imagine how hard it is to get off what they got on.
My dad, he always talks about how his dad was on drugs, and he would come home and see his dad, falling out on the floor and stuff like that. And he's like, just don't ever get involved in drugs because that's what it could do to you.
So for this episode, we are partnering with Elks Drug Awareness Program and the DEA to help bring awareness to this really important issue. For those who don't know, Elks DAP is the nation's largest all-volunteer drug education and prevention program that strives to teach kids and parents about the dangers of illegal drug use and prevent the misuse of alcohol and prescription drugs. We brought in teens and their parents to discuss drug abuse since it's not an individual issue as much as it is a family issue. But before we dive into questions, what would you want to say to the people in these videos if you had the opportunity to talk to them in person?
One, thank you for sharing and, being honest about how bad things can get before they get better.
I'm glad they're still here, and I'm glad that they made it out, and I would wish them the best in their journey.
I would honestly want to ask them, how did they get to this sobriety? What was their first step, so I could possibly help people I know that are going through the same thing.
Well, we have a rare opportunity today where you're actually going to be able to speak to some of these people who have graciously given us their time to have a conversation about the journey through drug or alcohol abuse and where they are at now in their lives. Please meet Sharon and Kelsey.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
How are you?
I want a cool hug too.
My man that was on there. Happy to meet you, man. Glad you made that.
Congratulations.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
So Paul, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing
you're
your
welcome.
story
You're
with
very
us.
welcome.
What's it like to sit here with him, guys?
I mean, I'm kind of inspired. To imagine where you were and where you are is quite amazing for me as a mom, because you think of every kid out there and all the struggles they're going through, and he's doing it.
Being from a gang for 20 years, drugs and and gangs, it's hand in hand. My thing was, I'll sell the drugs, but I'll never be an addict.
Just finally crept up on you, right?
Yeah,
That
and
one prescription pill.
that's all it took.
I felt terrible, but I felt happy for you, so that you've gotten to this point and things are good for you.
I have a life beyond my wildest dreams today,
Right.
and it's crazy to think about that guy that was in that park that night. It's
Well, I
pretty
love
cool.
that you're also open to talk about
Yeah,
it.
part of what we do about just talking about our addictions is to address the stigma. Like, there is
Right.
no shame in struggling.
We brought you all together here to have an open conversation. But first, we're going to show you a video that was made by a high school student that won the 2018 Elks Drug Awareness Program High School Video Contest. And we want to get your thoughts on this video's impact.
Trying to hold back tears already.
You guys know what that feels like, huh?
Absolutely.
No one starts off, with this thought in their mind. Everyone starts with an open life that can go anywhere.
Only sunshine, you make me happy.
I used to sing that to you when you were a baby.
This is just, I'm like kind of emotional. My mom used to sing me this song.
Oh dear, how much I love.
I have that same dress.
Take my sunshine away.
She's growing up.
Too fast.
When I
This is her as a teenager now.
did, I was mistaken.
Such a good relationship.
Mhm.
I hung my head and I cried.
That's what it's like. You put on a brave face, you turn around, and everything's so heavy.
She's changing, huh? She's changing.
Just holding something back.
The mom don't even know what's going on.
The parents need to be aware what their kids are doing. I'm on Jake like 24/7.
This is life, right? And I've been on both ends of these. I've snuck out of my house. I've done those things. I've been the parent.
Sunshine away.
And then the mom starting to realize, catch on.
Is that supposed to be a blunt or a sage stick? That is huge.
And I held you in my
Uh-oh. Guess she's
when I
waiting.
hold it, I was
That disappointment,
I know.
so I hung
Yeah, serious now.
head and
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Now she's about to move on to a different drug now. Like, yo, let's get something else.
Like, I know it's a dramatization, but like, that's reality.
Right.
They jump from she's smoking weed to
Yeah.
she's freebasing heroin.
Right.
But it's all in the context of that boy. It's all in that context of her wanting to fit in and belong.
Social
and-
pressure.
Yeah.
and make you happy.
Yeah, right, Mom?
Nothing else
Literally, it was for her first high. She was thrown up.
Yeah.
between. But if you leave
Oh, God. Oh, no.
you'll have
And sometimes they don't know how much they be taking. You go overdose real
Her
fast.
friend just walked out on her.
Yeah.
you
Just left him right on the floor.
sunshine, my only
This is scary.
you make me
Being frustrated and, that's really not the answer.
so great.
That's a parent's worst nightmare.
Never know
It tears families apart.
how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine
can't see her die. She has to live.
That's so scary. She's literally so young. Like, we're the same exact age.
I just feel really guilty, I guess, about what my mom had to go through. Because, like, I was so oblivious that, like, my actions had any impact on anyone else. And we were just talking the other day, and she's like, you still don't recognize that what you do affects our family. It's just, like, a hard pill to swallow.
When I saw that mom and then heard the loss, it's like it was our loss. It should not go, your child goes before you. For the rest of your life, you're gonna have a loss. You're never gonna be the same.
My brother, my only sibling, we lost him a year and a half ago. He OD'd on fentanyl. I'm so glad to see Madison here, but also it makes you think, I will never see my brother again. You and your mom, I hope you guys will reach to each other because you need her and I'm sure she needs you just as much as you need her.
I had the prettiest girlfriend when I was a teenager. We were very young. Getting high led her to jump off a bridge and kill herself as a young teenage girl. And I can imagine how the mother feels.
Now that you've seen Madison's story and you have the chance to sit here and talk with her directly, can you start off by telling her how her story affected you today?
Well, just hearing that the first time you tried it out was 12 years old, I think I was very shocked.
It just made me feel for people that have gone through these tough times and like they feel like they can't talk to anybody about it and they have to revert to something else.
I feel proud of you. And you know, I come from that kind of family, and I think you could be a representation to other people that it is possible, that you have to take it one day at a time.
Hearing your story and being with you here today, it's shown me like there's so many different ways to get to a certain point.
We don't talk about it as a disease. I tell you I'm diagnosed with cancer and you say, oh my gosh, everybody rallies around. You know, my mom's an alcoholic. Well, A, let's just start with we don't talk about it. But B, when it comes up, it's just everybody has this, this veil of shame.
So Matthew, obviously we have Vivica and Dawn, who's her dad, here today. Can you tell us a little bit about how your drug abuse affected your relationship with your family?
My family will worry a lot. I remember my mom telling me one time, like, every time I hear a helicopter, I think about you. And that always stuck to me as I was out there, like, man, I can't put no stress on my family.
I used to be really close with my sisters. I have 3 younger sisters. I'm not allowed to talk to them right now. It's like a missing piece of me, you know, like I really miss my family.
Both of my sisters are like superheroes in my eyes. When things escalated quickly for me, they had to set really hard boundaries. And as a result, they didn't get to be my sisters, and I didn't get to be their brother for a really long time.
Blocking my mom out. I mean, we're talking about a 10-year period. It has, I think, scarred my relationship with my mom.
It was real selfish of me, like, okay, yeah, I'm feeling good, but you know what, I'm getting hooked, and now my wife's gonna have to have a drug addict for a husband, and that's what got me to say, you know what, I gotta come forward and tell my wife, hey, look, I got a problem.
According to the 2018 National Survey on Drug Use and Health, 16.9 million Americans aged 12 and older misused prescription psychotherapeutic drugs. Of this number, 9.9 million misused prescription pain relievers. Talking about these issues with your parents or family members obviously plays a huge and important role in preventing the misuse of prescription drugs. So from your perspective for all of you, how do you think families should approach this conversation?
I think as for teenagers especially, the more you tell them no, the more they want to do it. So I think you need to more educate them rather than telling them to not do it.
Growing up, I'd open the medicine cabinet and like you don't think about it when you're really young. I definitely had friends in high school who were like, what's in your parents' medicine cabinet? Is there anything good?
The opioid epidemic is a serious thing because popping pills is easy to get them now because you can get prescription for them. Your mom and dad might have them. Everybody has them nowadays.
We've always been able to talk about it, and it's never been something that was like taboo. Because I think that's the fear that some people have is if you just don't talk about it, they won't know about it.
From not being open, we learned years later, my daughter coming forward and saying, hey, you know those pills you had in the cabinet? I was taking them. I felt bad, like it was my fault. You know, that we didn't say, hey, look, these are dangerous. We didn't know how serious prescription drugs were because we came from the street where you just knew cocaine, meth, weed, you know, heroin. Those are the big drugs. And you're really thinking that these drugs, because they come from a doctor, are not harmful.
I've been in situations where there was definitely easy access. I guess I have always told you that I don't really think I ever want to try any of that. Honestly, it kind of comes from my dad, seeing him and like his choice. Like ever since I was born, he has like not touched a drink, and I kind of admire that.
It's best to be open and honest and have a chain of communication where you can trust that you're going to get an open and honest answer from your parents.
So finally, to end this episode, what did you learn from talking to each other here today?
I learned that as a mom, as a parent, we need to reach out to our kids. We need to know what our kids are doing.
Parents gotta get involved in their kids' life and do activities. Take them out, go out for breakfast on the weekends or something, get to know each other.
That people are struggling, and there are people who are coming out of that struggle and thriving.
Both you guys inspire and encourage me to forget my pride, and you know what? So what about feeling ashamed of, you know, who you were, what you've been through? It's better to be open.
Oh. Absolutely.
And if it could spare one of my kids' life, why not? Like, I need to talk about it more.
What I most learned is like that my story can be impactful. At least it's helping somebody. I didn't struggle for no reason. That I can use my voice today.
I believe there's a reason that I'm sitting here right now, and that I have a responsibility to tell my story.
Well, I think you're a pretty good spokesman for sobriety or recovery. Sad that it all happened to you, but now glad that you're, you know, moving forward and things are good for you. So hopefully that's the way it goes forever.
When people are in that dark place and you're refusing that help, don't give up on them. Just kind of be there and let them know you're there. Whenever they're ready, you're there for them.
I think I learned I need to be more forgiving to my family as well, right? I hold my mom accountable for a lot of things, and I'm very angry at my brother, but based on your story, I think, you know, people deserve more chances.
I like Paul. I think Jackson likes Paul too.
Hey guys, it's Sierra, producer here at FBE. Thank you so much for all those who shared their stories with us today, and a huge thank you to Elks and the DEA for partnering with us on this really important episode. For more information on this important issue, please check out the links down in the description below. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys.